Welcome, everyone. I am so excited to have you here. Diana is with me today, and whoever is watching, I am excited and sad because today is a very special moment. Special moment because one, we're talking about sadness, so obviously that has an effect. Second of all, I'm going on break next week, and so this is a very special one because it's like the big hooray, going out with a bang. And I don't know what's going to happen after the break because the last year's summit has encouraged me to create conversations around difficult subjects. We started off with motherhood. We went into diseases, and then we talked about grief and loss, which was in December. And that was so much fun connecting with Diana, Swati, and Antje, and all sorts of different people along the way. And Jenny Mortak, can't forget about her. She came in here many, many times. And it really became a thing about being more accessible to these vulnerable topics. Vulnerable topics like anger, frustration, grief, loss, we talked about them again, people pleasing, many subjects we've had. So if this is your first one seeing, you have to go back and see if there's any other ones that you might be interested in. Another thing, well, my name is Raditya Lazari. I am from Mindful Being. Whenever I have Diana here, I just have to remind myself because I keep forgetting to say maybe one of the most important things for you, not so much for me, as you notice. And what is really about mindful being? Because this becomes more clear as we're having this conversation, is to become more comfortable with the uncomfortable, meaning the subjects like sadness. And we're going to get in a little bit deeper about this topic because originally, well, this topic was planned in December already for this particular week. So every week was planned out for the entire year and to make my life a little easier. And so it happens that exactly this week, we're talking about sadness. And originally I had the idea to change it because I was like, who wants to talk about sadness? And then I realized how important it is. One, because it is the end of this before my break. Who knows what's going to happen after this? And just in general, it's a very, very important topic. And before I do that, I just want to say hello, Diana.
Hello, happy to be here again.
Yes, hello. And why I just wanted to introduce her quickly, or say hello, is because we've been on this journey together. There's been a lot of conversation that included us to get sad about certain topics because they really touched our hearts. And also hearing other people's stories, what they've been through, what they're going through, and just seeing what it means. And as we were talking earlier today, there is a precursor to sadness. And I just want to start to see what Diana was thinking about sadness in general, how it showed up in her life in the past few months, and just what the relationship is with her. And I don't know if today is a day that sadness is apparent or not, because it can come and go very quickly. So yes, hello.
Hello. Well, yes, sadness, it's a heavy emotion for me, but it's also freeing emotion, I would say, because after you've been sad, you feel, or after you allow yourself to be sad, you feel actually lighter. At least I do. Well, if you once were listening before, I have been sad and grieving a lot this last year. So sadness has been in my life. And sometimes I just, I was just so tired of being sad and I just wanted to have fun and I think about things. And sometimes just sadness just hit me like a train sometimes because there have been so many deaths in the family and the war in Ukraine. Also, I feel so connected to it. So it actually also with what's happening to people, I feel also sometimes overwhelmed of sadness, but there are different other aspects of sadness and then they don't have to be bad. I mean, for example, I was for vacation for 1 month now in Lithuania with my family, my mom and my brother and his family. And it was beautiful to visit all of them and so on. And yesterday, me and the kids, we came home to Sweden, and I was sad. I was happy to be back in Sweden, but at the same time, I also was feeling sad for leaving them, because I know that it will take a while until I go there. I don't know how much. Of course, I can take a flight there. It's not so far away whenever I want to, but there is a part of sadness. And my mom, she was holding her tears back when we were going, and I saw my brother was also a bit sad. It's like part of you is left there. So I was both happy to be at home, but also sad to leave them. So sadness can be in so different ways. So that's what I came up just now.
No, it's great. It's great because I can relate so much to this feeling, just you speaking about it and me reminding myself of the same kind of scenarios. Because for me, where I live right now is not where my family is. So I have the same thing, and that's the break, right? I'm going to see my family. And I remember very clearly, this image when I'm at the airport saying goodbye, and there's like these split seconds of like all these memories that overcome you. You don't even, not really aware of those memories, but they are coming up. You're thinking about all these things, like you said, like when I'm going to see them next time, what a beautiful time we've had that we're not having right now, and like all these little things. And you start having these reminiscences going on, like even things that happened maybe years ago, right? All of a sudden overcome you, but then you go on the plane and you have to focus on all the other things, and then it disappears again. And then you sit on the plane, you look at the window, if you have a window seat, and then you see like you're flying off and you see the city, then it comes back again. And it's like you said, it's like a coming and going and coming and going. And so the best thing obviously is not to hold on to it, because otherwise it could be like a cry fest that never stops. So that is really true. And I want to start also adding another way of sadness, because just in our pre-conversation, the thought that I've shared was that sometimes sadness is pretty much always there in some shape or form, because our lives are impermanent. We are maybe not aware of it, but it's slowly going towards the end of something. We don't know when that will be, but there will be, right? And sometimes there can also be this sadness underneath all, like how we express sadness can be in anger and frustration and these very more passionate ways of expressing ourselves, because we want to cover up that sadness inside of us. And so instead of getting in touch with that sadness, we're becoming offensive, defensive, and like trying to make something wrong that wasn't right, or whatever ways we want to protect our most vulnerable place inside of us. What do you think about that, Diana?
Yes, I think it's very interesting, and it's actually very true. And I can totally relate to it, because as I talked before, for many years, when I was living in Lithuania, for example, and my parents, when my father was still alive, they both were sad, and especially my mom, and she just showed her tears and so on. And I remember I was sad too, but I was trying to be strong. So I became irritated and angry at her. Just like, can you just stop, crying? Just everything is fine. We're not dying here. It's like, yeah, I had this almost attitude, it's like being tough and strong. But I didn't allow myself to be sad. And then the sadness built up and it built up and it built up and just hit me like a train when I was older, and I became depressed, and then I was sad all the time. I couldn't get out of that sadness, and then I was stuck in it, and it was truly heavy, because when you are stuck in sadness, you're actually kind of digging this hole deeper for yourself, and you're just stuck there, and it's bigger, and you start to feel pity for yourself, and you're stuck there. So it's yes, and you find other ways, and then when people say something to you, you say, oh, shut up, or whatever, you know. Yeah, absolutely. And or for me, I think I use distractions as well, like distractions. For example, when I was feeling sad, I was binge watching some Netflix series when I was truly depressed, and I wasn't alone, because I remember I was in some group when we were cognitive behavior therapy group, and we were talking about that, and I could relate to so many others who were also feeling down and feeling sad, but they didn't want to feel that feeling exactly as I. So we all binge watch TV. That was one of the things that we actually were doing, quite many of us. And I said, interesting how we cope with it. We try to ignore it and, you know, put our attention somewhere else. And sometimes it's a good thing when you are stuck. Sometimes they say if you watch something positive, to, you know, to abort this negative spiral, but sometimes you can really get stuck on it just to avoid more and more and more and more. So that's why, again, we come back to this awareness. When you are aware of yourself and you are aware of life and on your body and how your reactions, I think it's very important to see these things and see, when you are binge watching, are you doing that because you enjoy it and you just have time and you want to do it, or you do it because you are avoiding something, some feeling, for example, sadness? And in that case, maybe it's better to watch a movie that is sad. I remember me and my kids last year when my father was really, really ill and he didn't have so much left. We didn't know about it, but we kind of knew. And the kids and I had a hard time crying at that time because I wanted to be strong for my mom and my dad. And I know we watched a movie about a dog, Benji. And it was a beautiful movie with a real dog starring. And it was also sad. And I don't remember when me and my kids were crying so much together. We were, you know, holding each other and just crying, all of us. And I know that it wasn't only about Benji. There was some other sadness. We all three of us were bottling up and we let it out. And after that, we actually felt much lighter and happier. So yeah, started with one thing and with another.
Yeah, no, I think you're bringing up a good point, because the awareness is probably the key component. Because as you were talking at the beginning, I was thinking about my solo presentation of sharing with Heart about addictive behaviors. And as you were sharing with the, you know, Netflix binge watching, when we are not aware and we're not paying attention on our emotional state, when we're not really connected to ourselves, that slope of going into a direction into unhealthy habits is very easy. Because as we know, all the things that are not necessarily supporting us are easy to start, right? I mean, for some, it's smoking cigarettes, drinking alcohol, or whatever, binge eating, not just binge watching, binge eating,
Chocolate,
right?
ice cream, that's my thing.
Anything, yeah. That's right. And so, yeah, we have to be really mindful. And when that's the case, we can then still choose certain parts of it. Like we say, watch something, eat something, drink something, smoke something, whatever. But when we do this with awareness, we might not fall into it as a habit. It might be a one-time thing just to collect ourselves, just to, and again, I'm not condoning drinking or smoking, just FYI, but I just wanted to include everyone here. I don't want to discriminate people. Just as I'm thinking, like, I wouldn't choose any of those things. I would maybe choose the watching a sad movie, or maybe I would eat. I wouldn't go to the other thing. Anyway, and so what I really found interesting is that, and even when I was creating the summit, right? Awareness has always been the key component to everything. And the way we creating life around us, we don't want to be aware sometimes. And it's dangerous because it can really manipulate us into a direction we don't really want to go. But because we're not getting in touch with our bodies, with our feelings that are uncomfortable, we want to get that away from. So what is there for you to add? Because I know that working can be another way of getting away from emotions, right?
Yeah, yes, that too. I mean, I've been a workaholic at my life as well. It was also a way of, you know, avoiding things. But I think, yeah, for me, about the sadness and what I was doing, and said, as I said to you, awareness is everything for me. It's been such a huge and important part of my life and my healing, and you know, going back to being more joyful and happy and healthy. And it's so funny because I mean, and I also used alcohol. Also, I did sometimes when I was unhappy, I just drank, just almost like punish myself even. You know, I was sad and I did something and I felt guilt or shame or something. I just drank, and there are so many different things to it. But for me, when I was sad before, especially, I usually binged ate. I watched things and ate things, you know, like, and it was not good for my body because mostly it was sugar. And then, you know, you gain weight and then you feel even worse and you get even more sad and stuff like that. But now it's funny because since I became more aware, and I still love sugar, but I don't eat it as often and as much, and I'm more aware of it. And alcohol, actually, I don't drink anymore at all. I mean, I can taste some wine, but I don't even think it tastes good anymore. It's funny how it works, because before that, I kind of enjoyed wine, red wine and stuff like that to the food, and now it's like, nah, I prefer not to. You know, it's such an interesting thing. But even when I'm sad, so when I'm sad now, I actually, when I'm aware of it, I am trying to just sit with it, or do some qigong, or go to nature again, nature or swimming. These things that really help me to bring that out. Then it's okay for me. You know, I'm crying and tears are running, and it's fine. And I'm just being with that emotion. It's important not to be afraid of it, just letting it be. And like with every emotion that we feel we don't want to feel, want to avoid, its best thing actually is to be brave and try to feel it and just let it be there and listen if it has something important to tell you. But it's easier said than done. I know that. I truly know that. It's like with my husband yesterday, he's just like, oh, you look frustrated and so on. I just like, no, I'm not frustrated. I'm just sad, but I haven't allowed myself to cry yet. You know, I was just like holding it in because, you know, this flight, I was flying with my kids, and the daughter was a little bit sad, and, you know, I'm holding space for her. So just when we came home, then I felt that I could, you know, let some tears out. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, I love it, because as you were speaking, I think the one thing that we need to just cultivate and create is a space of our own. Because if we're having these strong emotions, again, be it anger or frustration, you're right, and especially with sadness, because it, in my opinion, it is one of the most vulnerable places, because it's like this one, you're showcasing it possibly with tears, right? That alone is not really, you know, doesn't usually look pretty or feels pretty or whatever, right? And it makes you feel so vulnerable because it's a side of you that you don't usually see or show. So I think, to me, when I do feel sad, I love to be by myself. So I love how you said, like, go to nature, or for me it's like I did that like yesterday, you know, sit in the car and listen to music. And usually what happens is, to me at least, it's like the music always matches how I'm feeling. And when I start listening more clearly to the words of the songs, why I get emotional, it's like, oh my God, there is the reason. Like, maybe you don't know why you're sad, but when you listen to music that really touches you, or movies, right, like you mentioned, and you start become emotional, and you look at the storyline or the lyrics, in that matter, if it's music, and you listen and look what they really mean, you get the answer of why you're really sad, right? And for me, what really was significant was not to push it away, to really allow it to go through me, like literally, right? And look messy afterwards, because I always look like, when I was crying, when I was sad, my nose gets red, my eyes look crazy. And I even called my dad then, and my brother picked up, and I was like, whatever, and it happened twice, because on Sunday I watched a sad movie. And then again I was talking to my family, I'm like, they know me, they know how I look when I'm sad. Anyway, that was the movie. I can say it's the movie. So that's why it's good sometimes you just like have the movie as an excuse. But if, as long as you connect to that part of you, why you're sad, why you can process that information, I think to me that's another key component. Like, first be aware, then let it move through you, and then acknowledge what makes you that way, and then find something within the same realm that can lift you up. Because sadness is not by itself. You described it beautifully at the beginning with like leaving, there is joy and sadness happening at the same time, because you're moving into something new, something different, or something old again.
Yeah, about that moving part. I mean, I've been moving three countries, and then changing jobs, because I was working as a consultant, so I was constantly changing jobs. And every time, and I've studied different things, and every time you meet new people, and and that's the thing. But I also have been a very curious person, so every time I left someplace, it's always been sad, but also joyful at the same time. It was also joyful, and also I was curious and excited at the same time for this new thing that might come. Even now with conversations with heart, if they would stop, I would feel really sad, but also see what can come up next after that too, because we don't know what will happen in the future. And that's the same thing. It's double-edged in a way, but as you say, also, if you don't allow yourself to feel the sadness, and just be with it without getting stuck in it, just be with it and let it flow through you, it is hard to feel joy. That's why I think many depressed people, they can't feel joy. And it's not only mental, it's even chemical with hormones. But truly, when I was depressed, I couldn't feel true joy, and life felt so empty. But I was holding on to sadness. I was holding on and trying not to feel it, but I was feeling it, but not fully. And it just was so crazy. And I remember for many years I was watching movies, and every time if there was a movie with something like parents saying goodbye to their kids, and it was long before I got my own kids, I was always crying. And I didn't get it until 3 or 4 years ago, when I did some hypnotherapy and realized that I was still sad about leaving my parents when I was 15, and I felt guilty about it because I left them and I make them sad every time I leave, and I'm getting sad now because my father died, and yeah, and it comes in waves, and but I don't hold on to it anymore, and it's such a liberating feeling, and it gives you opportunity to see and feel joy on the other side, so yeah.
This is why we are here. This is here to demonstrate what's happening inside of us and let it be seen, no matter how uncomfortable it is. And these tears always speak the truth. That just means we care so much about something, someone. And yeah, talk about sadness. Something that connects us so deeply is really exactly that loss of your father and my father being ill. And this is exactly what's going on. At the same time, we can be joyful for being alive to still witness other things happening around us, witnessing our other parent, right? And witnessing the freedom of ourselves within ourselves by being able to express these emotions and just being present with what is and not fighting it to go away. Because the loss of a person will always be with us. That person, that sentiment, that thought of them not being here will always be until we can't think anymore, until we don't have that relationship anymore. And thinking about the end of something, there's always a beginning of something else. And that's exactly the joy we can bring to ourselves. That doesn't mean that sadness will go away. That doesn't mean that sadness will not come back. All it means is that we're able to hold space for all our emotions. That we hold space for sadness, we hold space for joy, and they're not saying, I am more important than you are. I need you, I need you, I need you. And the same thing goes for the people around us. Alone, we can't do anything as good as together. And so goes for all our emotions, all our experiences. We need all of them. We need all of these things happening with us, because that's what life is about. Life is about including everything and everyone, witnessing little microcosmic beings to macrocosmic things like climate change, like the differences that we are. That doesn't mean we're separated. And that really, truly demonstrates the beauty of the sharing with heart for the past year that we have come to establish together. From the two of us to 5 of us to myself and back again here. It's the dedication we have to ourselves to show up for ourselves, and at the same time bringing other people along the ride through all these emotions that we're experiencing, and inviting ourselves to witness the beauty of what life has ahead of us. Oh, and one other thing about sadness is to, and how joy can come in, is to be okay with uncertainty, because uncertainty in sadness is the joy, if only we can see it that way.
That was beautifully said, all of it already, but uncertainty and sadness, that was an interesting way to see that joy. Really, I have to think about that one. Yeah, for me, uncertainty. I've never been afraid of it. For me, it's more excitement, because uncertainty for me, it's something new can come, something different, and it's always exciting. And excitement in a way brings joy for me. That's true. It does. Because when I see or hear or learn new things or things happening, hopefully joyful things too, I feel joy.
Well, the thing about uncertainty, why I wanted to bring this in, is because sometimes we're so sucked into sadness because we are afraid of what we don't know, which is uncertainty. So it doesn't mean to be joyful about uncertainty. I mean, that's one way of practicing it, to find joyfulness in uncertainty. Because like, if I look back in the past few months, I've been going through this challenging time where I really didn't know what's this all doing, what's going on. And I know that the summit had a lot to do with this. So for those who are not in it, because I know Diana will watch them, if you are watching here right now, you have to tune in. So much has happened internally for me as I'm editing these conversations. Lots of vulnerability, because when we strip down all the parts of us, all those layers we build upon us to build boundaries, to make, to make some craters around us so people can't get close to us, to protect ourselves, we also protect sadness, as we said earlier, right? But the moment we remove all those things and let people into our lives and let them be seen and shown a different way of seeing things and open eyes and ears to one another, we step into this uncertainty of the unknown, because we don't know what the future holds. We don't know what happens in 2 hours from now, even though it's written in our plan. We don't know. We could drive down the road and someone will cut us off. And maybe we're not able to stop in time. Or we are in our house. And I mean, I'm talking about negative things here. It could also be joyful things here, all right? When we talk about sadness, usually that's what I could relate to. And at the same time, that uncertainty can also be joyful. It can also showcase something. And I've had now a few people in the past few weeks talk about going through cancer or certain illnesses that they recovered from. And even, talking about burnout recovery, right? Or any addictive behaviors that we recovered from. We didn't know when we were in it what we can discover once we're out of it. And that's what I mean about being joyful about uncertainty, to really establish, well, excitement can be it too, right? It can be many things. Again, the same things with having lots of emotions. Let's not limit it to just one thing, because what if the future isn't exciting? We don't know. Like, what if, and exciting only in our heads, we make it exciting to what it is? Because if we are in 30, 50 years from now, and our ability to walk is limited, can we still find excitement? Can we still find joy? We don't know. And that's how we can build joy in uncertainty, so that when it does happen, we don't fall into that trap of sadness and depression and not finding a way to joy.
Yeah, beautifully said. I it needs to sit with me for a while, I think. Yes, that's it. It's so true. Yeah, as you say, we don't know, and especially when we are older, we can bring these pictures in our head how it will look, and we cannot walk, and we, maybe we can't do anything, like my husband's grandfather, and it looked really sad. And I think he lost the joy, and he lost the will to live at the end, after his wife just suddenly died. It fell down and died, the one who took care of him. And I think that was one of the reasons why he died probably faster than, but even though he was so sad, and maybe he didn't know when his time will come, he knew it will be soon. Some days actually I could see joy in his eyes still, and it was beautiful. I could see, that some days small things could bring him joy, because he allowed himself to be sad also, to show the sadness and the joy. And I think he lived fully, so we never know. I mean, I'm kind of excited how my life will be even when I'm in 80s now. I don't know then, but I believe, I choose to believe that we don't know, but the gratitude of that we are existing now, and how we feel, especially if we feel healthy, or at least for the things we have, for people we love, or for the body we have, and all these things, they bring me joy, and they help me not to get stuck in sadness. You know, when I'm sad, as I said, I always try to let myself feel it. Sometimes I get going in old, especially if I'm stressed or pressured, I go in my old behavior and I bottle it up for a while. And after a while, my body starts showing signs and I just like have to let it out. And then I, as I said before, go to, you know, nature or somewhere else. But it's where was I going with my thoughts now? Now it disappeared. No, but the gratitude helps me also, you know, to just come back to the now and come back to what I have, so I don't get stuck in the sadness. That also helps me, you know, just be grateful for now and remind ourselves that we actually don't know what happens in the future, so we don't get stuck in these fears and, you know, fear for the future and negative thoughts of the future and everything like that. It really helps. And it helps to see life more joyfully, for me at least.
Yeah, that's great. And as we're getting to the end of this journey, talk about gratitude. Great segue, by the way, Diana. What is the last few things that you want to share with us?
Well, I'm just grateful, Raditya, that I've been doing this journey with you for this last year. It's been amazing. And I don't know if it will end or will continue. I don't know. But for now, I'm truly grateful, because all these conversations and meeting new people on these conversations of hearts just, you know, just opened my heart even more and showed me that, you know, I'm on the right path, for me at least, and I've been growing and learning new things and enjoying and having such a joyful time with you and others here. Because I mean, even though we talk about, you know, difficult topics for many, we actually can still enjoy ourselves and laugh and, you know, just have fun at the same time. And always after these YouTube talks, I feel so much lighter and happier and better. So there are many benefits to it. So I'm so grateful to you, Raditya, for doing this and inviting me to be part of it. So thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because I couldn't do it without all of you. That's for sure. Because it's not the same, which I discovered with last one, to just talk by myself. It is so much more joyful and exciting and insightful when you share with other people. I mean, that was the other purpose of this. Obviously, it's summertime. It's much more difficult for people to be able to get into these spaces. People are moving on to their own things. We just really caught a great time where people were available. People are just in transition and going into different places. And it was beautiful to be involved in this with so many amazing people from so many walks of life and doing so many different things. And yet we were connecting and being more vulnerable about life experiences, about how we see the world, and also supporting each other in the ability to bring humor to life, because life is not so serious. Because the more serious we see it, the more serious it becomes. The more light we see it, the more lighter it becomes. So it really is how we build this foundation around what we want from life. Do we want a heavy, serious life, or do we want to have a light, freeing life? And that freedom, that lightness, doesn't come from external confirmations or materialistic things. It comes from your inner freedom, from your inner experience, from your inner truthful self, authentic self that is able to express themselves freely, safely, in a way that doesn't hurt other people, and only support ourselves to become who we truly want to be. So these are my last words and my gratitude to you, Diana, who's been here all along. And I just can't wait to see what the future holds. So I'll be joyful in uncertainty. Thank you, everyone, for being here, for either watching this and especially for the people who have joined me on this journey. And sharing with heart is taking a break or seeing an end, whatever it will be. And this is not the last time you've seen us, that's for sure. If you want to see more, come back September 12th through the 16th. Come to my website, mindfulbeingllc.com/summit, and check it out. Check the summit out. It's really going to be an amazing conversation to listen to. And you can join us in the community gathering on the last day, where you can just chat with us and find out more. So thank you for being